Working on a Simplex steam locomotive, part 14, making the superheater element, which does not go all the way into the fire, and silver soldering each of the components together. The original, now scrapped boiler from this Simplex was a super Simplex boiler with 3 superheater flues. The new boiler, which is very well made, only has 1, so I could not modify the old superheater element, because the superheater element piping, even though it was stainless steel and welded, was only a 1/4 inch diameter. At first I looked at the feasibility of modifying one of the elements to fit in this boiler, but unfortunately one superheater element of a 1/4 inch in diameter wouldn't pass enough steam to feed the cylinders. The engine would run, but it would be down on power. I'm going to use a couple of pieces of 5/16 OD tube, and here I am bending the first piece. I'm removing the smokebox door front ring. I need clearer access to make and fit the superheater element. I bent the end of one of the pieces of copper tube at a right angle, and now it fits in the nut that's on the end of the main steam inlet. And with the nut in position and the pipe in the correct position, I'm using a felt tip pen to mark where it exits the superheater flue. It is very important to make sure that this superheater element is the correct length. I do not want it to go through into the fire. Time to remove the boiler and actually have a look in the firebox. Here it is. The copper tube in its normal state is far too long. Not only does it stick out into the firebox, it sticks out of the firehole door too. I made a mark using a felt tip pen as usual on the copper tube. I'm not going to cut on this mark, I'm going to cut 1 inch in from the mark. Using a small piece of cast gunmetal, which I've partially machined, I'm going to make a fitting for the end of the 2 tubes, and eventually I will be silver soldering the 2 copper tubes into the gunmetal block. But I don't want to rely just on a silver soldered connection here. I'm going to use a threaded connection, and in this clip, using my tailstock die holder on the piece of copper tubing, I'm cutting a 5/16 by 32 threads per inch thread on the end of this first tube. Once I've done this one, I will repeat the process for the other one, although the other tube will not be cut to length. You'll see why later on in the video. Now it's time to make the gunmetal block to fit on the end. Before cleaning off the end with the milling cutter, I cut the block to length. Once I'd done that, it was over to the drilling machine. I need to make 2 tapping size holes for 5/16 by 32 threads per inch that go down into the block but not all the way through it. I did this entirely by eye, and I've mentioned the calibrated eye many times in these videos. It doesn't need to be made with micrometer precision because it is not a precision part. I drilled the holes down into the block in 2 stages, first of all using a 1/4 inch drill followed by a 9/32 of an inch drill. That way the hole cut better. Gunmetal, or red bronze as I believe it's called in the USA, is a very slippery metal. If you use a really sharp drill it grabs, and if you use a blunt drill the drill doesn't cut. I set the depth stop so I didn't drill all the way through the block, and here I'm threading the holes, 5/16 by 32 threads per inch, to match the threads on the copper tube. I cleaned up the block and shaped it using my belt sander to fit down the superheater flue. With the block fitted in the vise, I need to make a hole between the 2 threaded pieces to allow for the passage of steam through the block. Using my Proxxon motor tool, I first of all drilled a small hole between the 2 threaded holes, and now I'm using a really coarse burr to enlarge the hole between the 2 threaded parts of the block. After screwing both of the copper tubes very tightly into the gunmetal block, it's time to silver solder the whole joint. You could, if you wish, braze this joint. That way I suppose it could go through into the fire, as a brazed joint melts at a much higher temperature than silver solder. But if I was making a radiant superheater that went over the fire, I would use a welded stainless steel structure. Usually, when I show the silver soldering process, I apply the silver solder far too early. Is this because I'm stupid and incompetent? No, it isn't. I generally do it this way for the videos because I get a lot of communications from viewers asking why they can't silver solder, and why does the silver solder just stay in blobs on top of the work? There are a combination of answers for this question: dirty contaminated metal, insufficient flux, and more common, insufficient heat. I'm purposely applying a lot of silver solder on this joint. I'll clean it up shortly. If this superheater got so hot as to melt the silver solder, and I don't think that's ever going to happen, as the copper is threaded into the block will not blow off the end of the pipes. This clip shows the block on the end of the pipes after I cleaned it up and shaped it using my linisher or belt sander. It's not a tight fit in the flue, and it must not be a tight fit in the flue. It's just a very easy rattle fit in there. Some viewers may be thinking, why didn't I use 3/8 diameter tubing? The answer to that is the block would have had to be bigger and the tubes would be bigger. It's worth remembering that for a superheater to work, there needs to be heat from the firebox going down the superheater flue, and if the pipes and the block are too big, this is not going to happen. It's also worth remembering that you need to be able to get a flue brush down the superheater flue to clean out the ashes and rubbish that gets in there from the fire. Now I'm approaching a critical part of making this superheater element. I need to bend the other tube to go into the wet header. In this clip I'm using a piece of scrap 5/16 tube bent at 90 degrees to see whether it's going to work. Originally I was going to make a special union and silver solder that into the wet header, but no, I think the pipe will go in there okay as it is. It's just going to be a bit nerve-wracking getting the bend in the right place. With the original felt tip pen mark aligned with the end of the superheater flue, I bent the long pipe that will need cutting off. My first attempt though wasn't good, so I annealed the pipe by heating it up to bright red, then quenching the pipe in some water. And now I'm pleased to say the bend is in exactly the right place. Using my small bandsaw, I cut the piece of pipe to the correct length. The black felt tip pen mark shows how much of this copper tube is going to fit into the wet header. I trimmed a tiny bit more off it and then I fitted it loosely into the wet header, so here you can see the almost finished job. I refitted the boiler to the smoke box and sat it on the engine, and as you can see everything lines up fine. Unfortunately though you can't see the wet header because the petticoat pipe's in the way. I'm going to make this petticoat pipe much easier to remove than it currently is. My superheater element falls short of being over the fire by about an inch, so it doesn't really need copper welding or brazing. Also, the block on the end of it is threaded. Time will tell, but I think it will be okay. I also received questions about the bolts holding the wet header in place, and as I mentioned in the video at the time when I was fitting them, these are temporary bolts. And here's the wet header flange once I remove the bolts. This is going to be a small piece of tube, which makes up the difference between the 5/16 of an inch, which is the superheater element diameter, and the 3/8 of an inch diameter of the hole in the wet header. This part that I'm machining has to be a bit of a rattle fit in the wet header, and the hole down the centre has to be a loose fit on the 5/16 of an inch diameter superheater element. Why does it have to be a rattle fit? Well, that is to allow the silver solder to penetrate the joint. If it's a really tight fit, the silver solder can't get in there. After applying copious amounts of silver solder flux to the parts, it's time to silver solder the parts together. And as usual in these tutorial videos, I always apply the silver solder early, so it blobs on the work, to show people that this is what happens if you don't have enough heat. As you can clearly see in this clip, once the part reaches the correct heat, then the solder flows and flashes around the joint, and I always apply too much anyway. I've also silver soldered around the steam fitting at the front. This fitting will be piped to the snifting valve, which allows cool air into the superheater when the engine is coasting. Back over to the lathe now, and it's time to make a flat union for the other end of the superheater element. You can buy these as commercial items, but it's not something I use very often, so I don't have any. This steam union has to fit inside the nut, but as you can see from this clip, it's currently a bit tight. The other end's okay. When I turn the nut round, that's a good fit. So I think if I shave off about 3 or 4 thou, it should fit perfectly. It doesn't want to be tight or slack, it needs to be just right. What I should have done is made a few of these whilst I was making one. But recently, ever since I made 4 studs, I'm a bit fed up of mass production. That's the part to the correct size. I'll just try the nut on again and make sure, yes, that's a perfect fit. The next thing to do is use a centre drill first to drill a hole in the end of the bar. You must always use a centre drill first because a long twist drill would just wander about. Once the hole's been successfully centre drilled, as you can see, it guides the main drill through in the right place. This is a 5/16 of an inch diameter twist drill, and it's just the right size for the 5/16 of an inch diameter superheater element, which for this application is a bit of a rattle fit. Don't forget the silver solder needs to penetrate the joint. All I need to do now is part off the finished component. After the part drops into the chip tray, which I do keep very clean these days so I can find things, it's time to pick up the part and fit it into the chuck the other way around so I can face across the front. This ensures that the mating surface is perfectly flat and also a good finish. I also removed the sharp edge using a file. Once again, it's time to go into the outer part of the workshop on the brazing hearth. After thoroughly cleaning up the end of the piece of copper pipe, which had become oxidized by the previous silver soldering operation, I applied a copious amount of Easy Flow No. 2 silver solder flux to the joint. And now it's time to apply the heat as I did with the other end, but not quite as much heat. This part is much smaller than the larger lump of metal at the other end, so in no time at all it gets to the right temperature. And one more time, for the purpose of the video only, I'm applying the silver solder slightly too early. You will see that it only flashes around the joint when the temperature reaches the correct level. I didn't show it in the previous silver soldering operation, but once the parts have turned to black, I quench them in water. And that is it for this longer than usual compilation video. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.